Hello and welcome hardworking aspirants. Today we are going to talk about later Mauryan period. In our previous classes we have seen the great Mauryan empire. We have seen the great leaders like Chandragupta Maurya, then Bindusar, and obviously Ashoka the Great. But what happens after the death of Ashoka, that's what we are going to see. And as they say, nothing is going to last forever, and so will be the case of Mauryan Empire too. These are a few of the emperors after Ashoka that we'll be seeing them. And this is the image related to Ajivikas. Yes, Ajivika sect was supported by one of the successor of Ashoka, and that is something important for you to remember. And then we will see after the Mauryan Empire we'll have the start of Shunga dynasty, which will be started by Pushyamitra Shunga. Okay, but before we do that, a quick info for all of you. Manson's Writing Foundational Bootcamp 2025 is live, guys, and what you're getting here, 30 power packed live sessions. This is something you can't miss. You need to have it if you are a serious aspirant, and the price is just kept very petty for you. It's a value packed, something which you should not miss. So please call on the numbers given below and get your seats booked for it. And we are also running the batches for UPSC CSE 2026-2027. If you are an aspirant and going to appear in 26 or 27, this is the opportunity for you, because we are also giving you 50% straight off. You can call on the numbers given below and talk to us. Thank you so very much, and let's get started with the class. Later Maurya's period. So if you remember, Mauryan Empire was founded by Chandragupta Maurya somewhere the other 322 before Common Era. With the help of Chanakya, he overthrew Nanda dynasty and especially Dhananand. Okay, and then later on it was expanded by his son Bindusar, and then his Chandragupta's grandson Ashoka, and it will begin to decline after the death of Ashoka in the year 232 before Common Era. Ashoka's commitment to non-violence, and as he was the big patron of Buddhism, this will slowly and gradually decline, and his successors will obviously fail to hold together the Mauryan Empire. So the Mauryan Empire will be basically divided into two parts. Okay, one will be eastern part and one will be the western part. So this is the eastern part that we are seeing, the Dasratha Maurya. He was the grandson of Ashoka, son of Suyasa, ruled from Patliputra, controlled the eastern part of the empire. His inscriptions are there in the Nagarjuni hills, that is near the Barbara caves. Mentions his devotion to the Ajivika sect. Now what is Ajivika sect? Ajivika, the sect, was contemporary to Jainism and Buddhism, and it believed in Niyati. What's Niyati? Niyati means the fate. Okay, so they believed everything is pre-written and whatever is going to happen will happen. Okay, this is the brief I am giving you. If someday we'll try to discuss it in very comprehensive manner. He attempted to maintain Ashoka's legacy but lacked the charisma and control. You cannot match someone else, rather you can be yourself. That's what is possible. He possibly ruled concurrently with other members of the Maurya family. Yes, there was the division in the empire and he was ruling the eastern side. Let's talk about the ruler who was in the western side. So on the western side you have the son of Kunala, okay, Ashoka's blind son Kunal, and his son is Samprati Maurya. He is ruling there. According to Jain text, he was a devout Jain patron of Jainism. He is credited with spreading Jainism to Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh and Gujarat, built temples, stupas and Saint Jain missionaries to southern India. This is something which you should remember about Samprati Maurya. And then we have Salisuka Maurya, okay, mentioned in Puranas and Yuga Purana, that is the Gargi Samhita, also known as the Yuga Purana. He is described as someone who was unrighteous and ill-suited to kingship. Okay, not a very favorite person for everybody back then. During his time, foreign incursion began, that is Indo-Greek in northwest India started to attack. Then we also see Devavarman Maurya, also known as the Devadharman, was the 7th emperor of the Maurya Empire. He succeeded Salisuka Maurya and was followed by Satdhanvan. Okay, Devavarman's rule is mainly remembered as a transitional phase reflecting the struggle of late Mauryan rule. Nothing very substantial you're going to find here, but these are the names that you should remember, so that if it ever comes to maintain the chronology, you should remember this. Then we have this Satadhanvan Maurya, that was the 8th emperor of the Maurya dynasty. Okay, he succeeded Devarman Maurya and was followed by Brihadarath Maurya. Brihadarath Maurya will be the last Mauryan king or last Mauryan emperor. Sadhan's rule is remembered as a period of instability and territorial loss. Again, something which is of not very much of importance for you to remember. So let's see the last Mauryan ruler, Brihadarath Maurya. Brihadarath was the 9th and the final ruler of the Mauryan dynasty, presiding over a rapidly shrinking empire that was losing its glory day by day. The Greco-Bactrian king Demetrius. Now, please remember this Greco-Bactrian. First, they were the part of the Seleucid Empire, the very same Seleucid Empire where the governor general was Seleucus Nicator I, with whom Chandragupta Maurya had marital alliances. And then after Chandragupta Maurya, we saw that Antiochus I, the Seleucus Nicator's son, had very good relations with Bindusar also. Okay, but now we are seeing that these parts, after the death or the decline of the Seleucid Empire, now we are seeing that this Greco-Bactrian part have come out as an open independent territory, and now they are trying to capture the parts of India. So this Greco-Bactrian king Demetrius, he invaded the north-western part, and it is said to be believed that Brihadarath reportedly forged a marital alliance because he was in no position to defeat them, so it was better to have a diplomatic relationship. And it is also said that Brihadarath was assassinated by his commander-in-chief, that was a Pushyamitra Shunga, during military parade at Patliputra. Pushyamitra then will be founding the Shunga dynasty, and this will mark the end of Mauryan Empire. So please remember this name. Brihadarath Maurya was the last Maurya king, and he was followed by Pushyamitra Shunga. Here you can see the approximate dates of Mauryan dynasty and the emperors which were there. We have already discussed. Let's see the administration part then. So the central administration, the provincial administration, what was happening there. So what will happen to the central administration? It's just common sense. The king remained the supreme authority, holding executive, legislative and judicial power, but after Ashoka, his successors were weaker. That led to what? That led to decline in the central control. Central will not hold a lot of control now. Maybe in the paper, but not on the ground. The Council of Ministers, that is the Mantri Parishad, and structured bureaucracy continued, but efficiency will be dropped down, and departments were headed by officials called Adhyaksha, but the central authority became less effective. So what continually we are seeing that the central authority has become less effective. Now let's see the provincial administration. Obviously the provincial administration will grow. Okay, when the central is getting weak, the provincial administration grows. The empire was divided into provinces, each governed by royal family members or trusted officials to maintain control. Provinces were further divided into districts and smaller units, but after Ashoka, provincial governors gained more autonomy. Okay, and central power will weaken. The eastern and western part of the empire sometimes operated semi-independently. So what we'll also see at once, that after the decline of this Mauryan empire starts, okay, while the Mauryan period itself, there will be few of the territories who will claim themselves to be independent. The one of the very first will be Kalinga. Then you will see the Punjab province. Then you will see the Karnataka province. They will say that now we are no more under the Mauryan empire. So this also shows that how weak at that time the Mauryan empire became. Well, you should also understand this. Then at that time the Mauryan empire was divided into different parts. The 5 basic parts that we can see here. The central province was known as the Magadha. Then the eastern province, that was the Prachyapatha. Okay, its capital was Tosali or Kalinga. Central province was the Magadha, was the capital that you can say. Northern, that is the Uttarpatha, Tachshila was the capital there. Western, that is the Avantipatha, Ujjain. And then the southern, that is the Dakshinpatha, Suvarnagiri was the capital back then. Or you can say not the capital, rather the control center at those all the directions. Okay, so let's see the espionage and law. Espionage was a key feature, that is a network of spies at that time. Chanakya believed in it, that you should know what your enemy king or neighboring king is doing, and you should be aware of it, but that will also slowly and gradually lose its power. Law and justice were based on king's authority and the principle of dharma, but with weaker rulers, law enforcement will be an issue now, and the king's role as the chief lawmaker judge continued in theory, but in practice disorder and corruption increased as the empire declined. What about the economy? Everything will decline. Okay, everything will have a decline, but let's see one by one. What about the agriculture? Agriculture remained the backbone of the Mauryan economy with Ashoka. With most people living in villages and engaged in farming, the state supported agriculture by providing financial assistance, land grants, and helping to clear forests for new cultivation. And land revenue was the main source of income collected through taxes on land and produce. So, agriculture is good at that point of time. Trade and commerce, the period saw extensive internal and international trade boosted by political unity and improved infrastructures like roads and waterways will be there. Ashoka emphasized a lot in building in the roads and all. If you remember, major trade routes connected India to Central Asia, West Asia and Southeast Asia with exports including textiles, spices and luxury goods, that will be there. And the guilds, very famous, these have been asked in the UPSC prelims also. Please remember, guilds or the srenis of craftsmen and traders, these are the groups of the craftsmen and the traders. They played a significant role in economic activities and sometimes issued their own coins. Please remember that also. So the trade at that time, if you can see, the India is having trade to Alexandria, then you have Antioch, then the Athens, and then here if you see Tarim, Basin, Burma, Sri Lanka, all these places, Mauryan Empire had the trade routes. What about the coinage system? The Mauryan period established a uniform currency system with the silver panna or panna sometimes as the main coin, and its smaller denomination in circulation were there. A standardized weight and measures will be followed, and some guilds also issued their own coins. Now what it will do, it will indicate a complex monetary system, because the Mauryan Empire itself is having its coin, that is the panna, and the guilds are also giving their own monetary coins or monetary system. So that is something which will make it complex, but then it was for them to follow, not for us. Culture, art and religion, what at that time were being followed. Let's see what was the condition of Jainism at back then. After Ashoka, Jainism continued to be influential, especially in eastern India and the Deccan. The Mauryan rulers, particularly Chandragupta Maurya, had already shown patronage to Jainism, and this trend will persist. Jain monks were granted caves such as some in the Barber Hills for meditation and monastic activities. Jain communities thrived and religious practices and art were there. What about Buddhism? Buddhism will remain as a major force after Ashoka, who had been its greatest loyal patron, and the construction and expansion of stupas such as Sanchi and Bhairut. This will continue, and the tradition of rock-cut caves for Buddhist monks was further developed. These caves were used for meditation and monastic living, reflecting the Buddhist emphasis on asceticism and retreat. That is something that we can see. Ajivika is another sect. Ajivika, I have already said you, it was a sect which was contemporary of Jainism and Buddhism, and it also received royal patronage during and after Ashoka's reign. Other religious traditions, including early form of Brahmanism, began to reassert themselves, especially as the Mauryan Empire declined and regional power rose, and Shunga, Pushyamitra Shunga, was a Brahmin. This period saw the beginning of temple construction and the rise of Saiv and Vaishnav sect in the post-Mauryan period that we'll see. This is the image related to the Ajivikas. Wars, revolts and foreign invasion that happened. Let's see them. So internal revolts will happen. I told you provinces like Kalinga, Andhra, Punjab and Karnataka began declaring themselves independence. Now we are no more under the Mauryan Empire. The rise of regional powers like the Satavahanas, Kharvela of Kalinga, etc. will start. What about the foreign invasion? After the fall of the Seleucid Empire, the Indo-Greeks Yavanas, the Indo-Greeks were also known as the Yavanas, under Demetrius invaded northwest India. Later Mauryan ruler could not mount an effective resistance, though we saw that there was a marital alliance build up. Assassination of Brihadratha, the last Mauryan ruler, General Pushyamitra Shunga assassinated him and took over the empire. He re-established Vedic tradition and sacrifices, starting the Shunga dynasty, because I just repeat again, he was an Brahmin, so he will emphasize on this Vedic tradition and sacrifices. Okay, now there is study related to Shunga dynasty, it is also said that while this period Manusmriti was also compiled, and it is also said that Pushyamitra Shunga was someone who was the destroyer of Buddhism, and he has destroyed more than thousands of stupas. But when we talk about the evidences, there are some kind of contrary things to notice, like the Sachi stupa and the Behrut stupa at that time. These were renovated at the period of Shunga, Pushyamitra Shunga, and we also see that there is no proper evidence to support this. So I just gave you this contrary statement so that if it ever comes, so you can follow it in your own way. Let's see some of the key terms and their meaning. Mahamatra means the high-ranking official handling and moral edicts, law or provincial control. Then you have the Kumara. Kumara means the royal prince appointed as governor of a province. Then you have the Sreni, guilds of merchants, artisans played major role in economy and civic life. Rajuka. Rajuka means the judicial officer responsible for law enforcement in provinces. Punch-marked coins, that is the early Indian silver coins with multiple symbols, sun, animal, trees, and all the Janpadas, 16 Mahajanpadas had their own punch-marked coins. Ajivika, a heterodox sect emphasized on faith, that is the Niyati, and this was supported by the Mauryas. Bindusara was the one who was a patron of it. Yuga Purana, a section of Gargi Samhita describing Mauryan decline and Indo-Greek invasion. So we can say Yuga Purana is a document from where we have come to know about the Mauryan decline and Indo-Greek invasion. Let's see if you have the questions now. In which one of the following relief sculptures sculpture inscription is Rani Ashoka mentioned along with the stone portrait of Ashoka? What is the correct answer here? The correct answer is Kanganahalli. Okay, so that is the correct answer. Let's see the next question. The decline of the Mauryan Empire is attributed to several factors. Which of the following is not a reason for the downfall of the Mauryan Empire? Failure of Ashoka's successor. This is internal revolt. Yes. This is decline of trade and commerce. As a bit it declined. Strengthening of military power. How strengthening of military power can be the reason for the downfall of the Mauryan Empire? It should have been weakening of the military power. So D is the correct answer here. Which of the following Mauryan ruler was associated with the rock cut cave at Nagarjuni Hills? If you remember, we have talked about it, and what is the correct answer? The correct answer here is Dasratha. Okay, and let's see the last question now. Which of the following features was a hallmark of Mauryan Empire's economy during the later period? During the later period, what was the hallmark? Decline of centralized revenue collection, rise of state-sponsored long distance trade, the flourishing of large urban centers, introduction of paper currency. What's the correct answer? Decline of centralized revenue collection, because there was trade going on. We saw that there is international trade also going on. Okay, internal trade is also boosting, but as the central has lost its power, lot of revenue will not go to the central. Okay, so that is something which we should remember. And with that, we have completed later Mauryan period. We'll meet again in the post Mauryan period class. And before you go, guys, this is an information for the mentorship program for UPSC, TSPSC and APPSC. One-on-one live mentorship by Deepika ma'am, who has 20 plus years of experience, who has trained 1000 plus students, and under whom hundreds of students have got selected. So if you also want to get a bit more enlightened through her experiences, this is an opportunity for you. You can call on the numbers given below and get your mentorship seat booked. So we'll meet again. Till then, keep working hard for success.